Good morning and happy birthday to you, even if it's not your real birthday, because welcome to the first day of the rest of your life. Every day is your birthday if you choose to celebrate. Still haven't quite got the hang of that, have I? Happy birthday, even if it's not your real birthday, because every day is your birthday if you choose to celebrate life, because welcome to the first day of the rest of your life. That'll work. Anyway, happy birthday everybody, how are you doing? Happy Saturday. Hope you're all doing very well today. We are going to talk today about your mindfulness muscle, and we're going to talk about inherited trauma, kind of. There's two sides to this we're going to talk about. So hi, I'm John, anti-depression coach. How does that sound? Sounds good. I help people to understand how to find freedom from depression and get off your antidepressants if you want to get off them, build up your mental strength so you can build a fun-filled, positive future for the future, for your positive future, for yourselves and your family. Yeah, so that's me. Happy birthday anyway to the real people whose birthdays it is today. Carolyn, hello Carolyn, how you doing? Who does the waxing bar in Cheltenham. Nicola Crean, hello Nicola, hope you're well. Ganesh, Cindi, Jordan, Terri, Mike, Richard, Helen Rowley, quite a lot today, isn't there? And Shelagh Grey Goose, and of course Ruth Tidmarsh. Gosh, Ruth, it's been a long time, hasn't it? We need to catch up at some point. Ruth and I were involved in a science fiction movie, or an attempt to create a science fiction movie. What, it must have been the mid-90s, was it? Early 90s, perhaps? Anyway, yes, we got invested in that. Glenhart Productions Limited is a company which I still own, a film production company. Never made a film, but it might be the first film we might make. May well end up being my own film called Chance Encounter, which is about my walk on the Camino, blended with some personal development stuff. It's a love story with a twist. Anyway, cool. So happy birthday to all of you guys, and happy birthday for tomorrow to Susan Amanda Deer. Susan Ashman, I should say, Amanda Deer, Stephen Haggerty, and Jen McQuarrie. Happy birthday for you tomorrow. So happy birthday weekend, I guess you could say, for you guys. So we always celebrate happy birthdays by blowing out candles on the cakes, don't we? That's what we always do. Yeah, so blow out one candle first. Think about one thing you're going to get done today. Then breathe in 5 through your nose. Put the sound in your heart. Light the candles on your left hand while you're holding your breath. And then blow out the candles on the cake. Happy birthday! Happy birthday to Carolyn, Nicola, Ganesh, Cindi, Jordan, Terri, Mike, Richard, Helen, Shelagh, Ruth, and for tomorrow, Susan, Amanda, Stephen, and Jen. And then we added to this yesterday by saying, what have you been thinking about for the last hour or 24 hours? Do the same thing then. Hello, viewer, for a brief time, by the way. And then we looked at 3 things that, well, one thing that made you smile in the last hour or whatever. Same thing again. Oh, sorry. I'm doing them super quick now because I want to move on. Okay, cool. And then so one thing you're going to get done. One thing you're going to get done in the next hour. One thing you got done in the next hour. One thing you were thinking about in the last hour or the last 24 hours. Either way, you want to do that. Something that made you smile. Something that you're grateful for as well. Your phone, the sun, if you're in England. Stuff like that. Hello, good morning, viewer. How are you doing? Okay, so we're now moving on to the main topic of the day today, your mindfulness muscle. Well, we've talked about this all night. If you've been watching my programs or daily videos on here for however long it's been, if you want to watch the backlog, youtube.com/John V Denley. They're all on there, easy to crack through on there if you want to crack on with some few of them. Plus you can watch them double speed very easily on YouTube. So cool. Hello, there's Charlie. Hello, Charlie. Happy Saturday to you, Charlie. Couldn't tell with a man. Is that your man in the picture there? Your new man? I heard about a new man. Maybe it's not. Either way, it's a man, I think, by the looks of it. Cool. Is that a pint you got there? Cheers. At 8:30 in the morning. Lovely. Cool. Right. So mindfulness muscle. Yeah. If you've been watching my program for any time, you'll recognise that I always talk about how you can train your own brain. You can rewire the pathways in your brain to think different thoughts, to feel different feelings, to have different emotions, to react differently to the world around you. You often talk about pathways. Here you go, looks kind of cool. This is because they've mowed it. You can see here that what's the easy path between the mound over there and the mound over here? If you want to get over to those houses over there, where are you going to go? You're going to go on the nice mown path in between, aren't you? Because it's the easy one. It's the easy one. But if they'd let the middle bit grow up there, and then got all that weedy there, you probably either go around, or maybe over if you really wanted to. But over is quite difficult as well because it's high. So you'd probably go round. So you probably just go around the edge there, wouldn't you? There. It's kind of difficult to point it because it's back to front. But you get the idea. Yeah, I've talked about that a few times. And that's just a muscle. It's just a muscle in your brain, basically. It's like going to the gym and training, working out. I've been working out for a year now. I've got some pretty good sort of six-pack going on underneath. There's still a layer of wobbly bit on top, but it's going down every day. The more rowing I do, interestingly enough, that seems to have made the biggest impact on my wobbly belly. But it's only like a centimetre of extra wobble on top of, and as I tense it, I can feel the muscles underneath it. So I've been doing that for a year, just little tiny bits every single day, and I've built up the muscles and the strength, and I've lost the weight. Well, actually, my weight is maintained because it's the fat has turned into muscle, so my weight actually hasn't changed at all. Got to watch out for that if you're doing those diet things. As you do more exercise, your muscle is more heavy, more dense than fat. Fat takes up more space. Muscle is the same weight but smaller. It's like the difference between a kilo of gold versus a kilo of feathers. They're still both a kilo, but feathers are going to be massive compared to the smaller one. Hello viewer, who is that? Is that I can't think who that is. I recognise the picture though. Lady from Spain, Malaga girl, I think. I'm not sure. Anyway, we'll see in a minute because it'll probably hopefully pop up and say who's watching. Cool. So mindfulness muscle, that is your mind, your muscles, the neurons in your brain that you fire them together and they fire together. What's the one? Neurons that fire together work together, or I can't remember what the lane is. Julie, it was Julie French. Hello Julie, Majuli, that's the one. Couldn't click the name. Hello Julie, how are you doing? Are you in Spain or you're not in Spain? No, it's probably not in Spain, are you? Anyway, nice to see you. It's fantastic. So mindfulness muscle, building that up over time. It's all about building up the mental strength and going through the fire wire together. Yes, but fire together, wire together. Oh yes, that's right. That is right, isn't it? Neurons that fire together, wire together. Yes, of course it makes sense. I was kind of thinking that they were the same thing. If they're firing together, because when you become used to something and talking about something, you forget how simple some things can be. So yes, if you keep doing the same path over and over and over again, eventually they will wire together. Good morning. Eventually they will wire together, and it'll become the easier path. It'll become the mowed grass path over there. There it is, mowed grass path. That becomes the easy path through the forest, as it were. Actually, I showed this a while back. Actually, as if you want to go into, in fact, I'll flip the camera around. It'll be easier to point then. Here we go. Flip the camera around. There you go. Okay, so you can get into these woods, and there's a little pathway there. And of course, the fewer times people walk through that, the more overgrown that becomes, and the more difficult it becomes. And eventually, it'll become something like this, and people go, "Nah, I can't get through that at all." So yeah, as you can see, less people go through that. It becomes a bit worn. It's a bit tricky now, actually. You probably wouldn't bother going through that, but you can get into it by going around the outside. So even though it's a much longer way around the outside, get into those woods, or get into the other side of those woods at least anyway, it's the easier route. So even though it's a longer route, it's an easier route. And that's what your brain does. Your brain does this automatic thing. So coming back to trauma, which is the whole point of this thing, really. We all have childhood trauma. It just happens. Mum shouts at you because you did something wrong, or and there are different levels of this. Of course, there is positive trauma and negative trauma to a certain extent. So because the mum is trying to teach you the right thing to do, like stay away from the hot fire, for example, and keep you safe and all that kind of stuff. But also they can sometimes shout at you for things that don't make any sense to you, especially as a child. Don't run in the park, for example. Why not? Because you might fall over and hurt yourself. And a lot of the time, the mum, or the parent, I should say, let's not be sexist about these things, the parent has probably had some bad experience in the past herself. So, for example, I saw a lady the other day on this play equipment here, and the child was trying to walk across this bridge here. Now, obviously, it's slightly scary because there's a little bit of a drop there, but there's ropes here. It's pretty safe. And some parents would say, be careful, don't fall. And they would use all these negative, kind of like, kind of almost negative things. And typically that's because they've had some experience of the dangers of falling, or the dangers of scared, or then maybe they're scared of heights themselves, and the child hasn't got that fear. So the parent is then installing that fear into the child and programming them and conditioning them to have the fear because the parent has had the bad experience, and they might not even have had a bad experience themselves. They might have just been told by their parents. Maybe their parents had a bad experience of heights, for example, and then the grandma made the mum. Sorry, I'm doing the sexist thing here. Apologies. The grandparent made the parent. It's funny, isn't it? So here you go. Here is an example of neurons that fire together, wire together. I am automatically, without thinking about it, doing grandma, mum, child, as opposed to grandparent, parent, child. And so you can see in real time my firing. I've been programmed by society that it's the grandmother who brings up the children, and it's the mother who brings up the children, and the dad goes out to work. I've been programmed by society to think that's how it all should work and how it does work. And typically that is how it has worked. But that's an inherited mindset through the generations, as you can see. You saw me doing it without even knowing I was doing it until I picked up on it and recognized it. So that's me becoming ACE. That's aware of the problem, making some changes, parent, grandparent, and so forth, and then putting effort in over time. So the more I repeat grandparent, parent, child, instead of grandmother, mother, child, the easier it will become to default back to and take the easy path to the new mindset, the new muscle that I've trained, the mindset muscle that I've trained, or the mental muscle, you could say, that I've trained over time to teach myself the new thinking that I've become aware of, then I changed it, and then I put in effort over time. And that's helped me to reprogram my brain to think differently. So the grandparent had some fear of heights, for example. They may not even have had fear of heights. They may have heard a story about somebody falling off a tightrope, for example, and then they've gone, oh, it's scary to be on high seats. So then the grandparent has then got a fear of heights, which wasn't even real. And then when the grandparent was teaching what's now the parent, the child, to go across a high building, a high area, they're going, oh, be careful because you might fall and then you'll break your leg. And, even though the grandparent didn't, and now that mother thinks, or that, I did it again, didn't I? That parent now thinks, I've got to be careful of high places. And so then the child then is being taught how to move across a high thing. It's like, be careful, you might break your leg if you fall off. And it's like, well, yeah, but nobody in the family has had that bad or that traumatic experience. And now the third generation is still experiencing the fear of falling off a relatively not high thing onto a relatively soft ground grass, because the grandparent heard a story once about somebody falling off a fence and breaking their leg, for example. So that trauma didn't even happen, but then they inherited the trauma throughout their lives. So that's where your inherited trauma comes from. Now, obviously, you can expand that idea into all sorts of other things. Racism is a classic example of that. And that becomes the underlying unconscious bias that we all have down here in the unconscious part of our brains. This is our head. We have unconscious brains. It's just metaphor. It's not really down here, of course. It's all up here. But the unconscious thinking that's just like, it's the gut feeling. Oh, this is a bit weird. And then you have your subconscious feelings over here, which is more subconscious about habits and things you've done on a regular basis. Much easier to change the subconscious, much harder to change the unconscious, because a lot of time you don't know why you've got this unconscious fear. I do a really cool story about twins growing up. Mum again, the parent is shouting at the children, and the children are sitting on the sofa and they're looking up at the mantelpiece above the fire, and there's a big clock in the middle, and on the right hand side there's an ornament of an owl, and on the left hand side there's an ornament of a cat. And one child grows up with a fear of owls, and one child grows up with a fear of cats, and they have no idea why. And the reason is that they had some kind of trauma going on while they were looking at the images of a cat and an owl, and so they grow up with this fear, because it's like every time they see a cat they go, oh, that's my parents shouted at me at that point. See, you've got to keep doing it. You've got to put the effort in over time to keep that rewiring going. Right, that's my 15 minutes. This was really supposed to be a short one, but as you can see, I got excited about this one. It's a good topic. I like it. Anyway, so hopefully it was helpful. Take care. Thank you very much indeed. Good stuff, Julie. Thank you very much. Much of it started with you guys many, many years ago. Thanks again for your input into my life. Thank you. Yeah, it's all right. I got a dash too. So take care. Thanks very much for watching. Bye for now. Love you. Hope to see you soon. Can't see who that viewer has just come on, but I'm just wrapping up now. So bye. Love you all. Send love out into the world. Because this is the editing thing that I don't like. Who is that? I can't see who that was. Gina. Hello, Gina. Sorry, Gina. Just going. You have to go back and watch the beginning one. This was a really good one, though. Go watch the replay, though. It was a really good one. Take care. Bye for now.